video 3. So now we're subtracting rational numbers, so that is our target. And we still know rational numbers includes fractions and decimals with negatives mixed in. Okay. So let's review one where we're subtracting decimals. I still have to use my strategy from chapter 1 where I break this up into terms, think about where they go in my t-chart. I've got positive 12. I don't even have to write the whole thing here if I'm at least recognizing which numbers are positive and which are negative. And I see here that these are going to cancel, and I'm going to end up with more negatives. So I'm going to go ahead and put an answer box down here and put a negative sign in it. So now I'm canceling these, which means I have to take whichever one I have more of, and that's 21.6, and subtract the 12.8 to see how many more negatives I have. Okay? So now this is a subtraction problem because I'm canceling. Have to borrow, oops, that's a 0, 16, 16 minus 8, have to borrow again, 10 minus 2, and then 1 minus 1 is 0. So if I stopped there, I would have gotten it wrong. But because I already put a negative sign here and I know my final answer, the negative is bigger, negative 8.8. So go ahead and try these. There's room up here for you to kind of figure out what your t-chart's going to look like. So for example, when I split this, I see negatives and negatives. That t-chart would have 2 values over here. So I know these are going to combine. So now when I stack them up, I know I'm going to be adding those, combining them. And I also know, because they're both negatives, they're going to combine to make a bigger negative. So as soon as you recognize that, put a negative sign on your answer so you don't forget it. And these are combining. So go ahead and try that one. I'm also going to have you set up this one. So looking ahead here, think about what happens when we subtract a negative from chapter 1. Where would that go in your t-chart? And then are you going to combine or cancel these when you set it up? So go ahead and finish both of these, 4 and 5, and hit play when you're ready to check them both. Okay, for this one, I forgot we were combining for a second, but it should be fixed where we are combining both negatives, so they add up to make 15.1 negatives when I put those together. And then this one, they actually perfectly cancel out. Minus a negative puts the 20.5 here and a 20.5 here. Those exactly balance out, cancel out to make 0. All right, moving on down to subtracting fractions here. I see a mixed number, so I know I'm going to have to turn that into an improper fraction. So let's do that and also look and see what kind of terms we have in our t-chart. So when I multiply here, 28, 29, and then minus a negative, this is just going to be plus or positive 6/7. So again, when I split my terms, I've got one positive, one negative, and they already have common denominators, so I can easily tell that this negative is much bigger. So I'm going to go ahead and put a negative on my answer so I don't forget. And I'm canceling these. Well, canceling means I have to subtract and just see how many negatives, more negatives I have. So 29 minus 6 leaves me with 23/7. Now, I'm going to put it here, negative 23/7, or if I turn that back into a mixed number, because answer choices on a quiz or a test will probably be written as a mixed number, 7 can go into 23 3 times. That would be 21, so I'd have 2/7 left over. So negative 3 and 2/7. All right, so you've got 2 here. I see lots of mixed numbers that are going to have to be turned into improper fractions. So remember, that's around the world. Multiply. So 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. And make sure you don't lose the sign with it. We also have to make sure we get common denominators. So both of these, the denominators don't match. You are going to have to get denominators that do match. And I want you to practice that. So really pause the video here after you have your improper fractions. Then think about, okay, what operation is happening here? In my T-chart, where would those go? Am I going to combine or cancel them? And then once you decide that, go ahead and get your common denominators and work it out. Okay? So pause, pause, pause. Do not hit play. Don't just copy these down. Really try number 2 and number 3 and have those done so we can check them together. Okay, I wanted to go over these one by one because there's a lot of little steps in each of these. So I got my improper fraction. I looked at my terms. I see that they are both negatives. I've got 2 negatives on my T-chart, so these are going to combine to make a bigger negative. So I'm really adding them up, combining them. But I have to get the denominators to match first. So this one had to get multiplied by 2. So the top, the numerator, also has to get multiplied by 2. Now I have negative 20 and negative 5, and those combine to make negative 25. Denominator just stays the same. Turn that into back into a mixed number. It is an improper fraction. 6 goes into 25 4 times with 1 piece, 1/6 left over. And that's a negative because the negative was bigger. Nope, well, it doesn't matter. They're both negative. They combine to make a bigger negative. Okay? So there's lots of places to make little mistakes if you're not careful and don't go slow. All right, turn this into an improper fraction. Turn this into an improper fraction. Now looking at my terms, I have 1 positive, 1 negative. So my T-chart would look like this, which tells me they're going to cancel. If they're canceling, I know I have to be subtracting them. But I've got to actually get my common denominators to see which one I have more of. Do I have more positives or more negatives? I can't tell when they don't have matching denominators. So this guy is good to go. I can just leave it, negative 21 over 4. This one had to get multiplied by 2. So 9 times 2 is 18. Now I can clearly see I have more negatives than positives. 21 negatives, only 18 positives. So this one is bigger, making my answer negative. And I'm just going to do 21 minus 18. I have 3 more negatives. So 3/4. Negative 3/4. Okay? So we have to know our fraction rules and operations and also the rules from chapter 1 when we're dealing with positives and negatives. All right, find the distance between the 2 numbers on the number line. Okay, this again, I'm going to do the one with fractions. Well, we'll talk about it and set them both up, and then I want you to work them out. In chapter 1, we talked about right minus left. The number on the right on your number line minus the number on the left on your number line. And if you do this shortcut every time, you'll get the distance between the points. Okay, so this is going to be 2 3/4 minus negative 3 1/4. Well, right there when I split this, I can see this is going to turn into plus or positive 3 1/4. Okay, so I do have to still get improper fractions and then add them up, but I know these are going to combine. Okay, and that makes sense because our distances should always be a positive answer. And then go ahead and do the same thing down here. If you think about your number line, 0, negative 7.5, negative 15.3, this would be right, this would be left. And so anytime I set that up, right minus left, the number on the right, minus the number on the left, oops, I need the decimals, 7.5 minus negative 15.3, and go from there. Okay, so our distance on a number line, the strategy is always right minus left. Further to the right, further to the left, and subtract it in that order. So go ahead, finish working this out. You've got to get improper fractions and then combine them. Here, think about what signs you have in this term and combine those. or cancel. Finish working both those out. We know their distances, so they should be positive. Check or hit play when you're ready to check these last two. Okay, here my mixed number turned into an improper fraction, 11/4. I recognize this is just adding, which we already talked about, 13/4. Put those together, you get 24/4, which can be simplified to just 6 wholes. All right, and my final one, again, I'm recognizing that minus a negative, subtracting a negative is just adding, so plus 15.3. Now in this case, I have one positive, one negative, so they're going to cancel, and the positive is bigger, which it should be. I'm trying to get this distance. So cancel them out, subtract, and I get 7.8. So that's Chapter 2, Video 3.